morning.
Good morning.
Sometimes I miss the music. Do you miss the music?
I do.
Yeah, well, it's all right. We'll figure it out. Welcome to Daily Dose. We're talking about the third C.
Oh, there it is. I can see that.
From Laura Gassner-Otting's book, Limitless, this morning. I'm going to give you just a quick little recap of the first couple of weeks in case you missed them, or to give you a reminder of them. So her book, Limitless, has this notion of finding consonance. So what is consonance? Consonance is the sense of frictionless belonging, of momentous stride, of core relevance. It is a guiding force that reveals how your work, whatever that may be, contributes to your overall life's plan. It connects your daily activities to the success of those around you and gives you clarity about why you, specifically you, matter. Consonance is not just purpose writ large, it's your purpose, freely and clearly defined by you and put into action through awareness of and alignment with your life's plan. And then there are these 4 elements to creating consonance. And her point, you might remember, is that you really have to have some of all 4 of them. They don't have to be equal, and they kind of rise and fall depending on where you are in your life. You think about a new young employee or a college graduate is going to have a very different set of skills, wants, desires, and needs than somebody at mid-career or somebody in retirement. So the 4, the 4 elements of consonance are calling, connection, contribution, and control. So calling is a gravitational pull towards a goal larger than yourself. Connection, which we talked about last week, gives you sight lines into how your everyday work serves that calling by solving the problem at hand, growing the company's bottom line, reaching that goal. Contribution, which Dr. Mary is going to talk further about today, means that you understand how this job, this brand, this paycheck contributes to the community to which you want to belong, the person you want to be, or the lifestyle you'd like to live. So that's where we are at today. Dr. Mary.
Yes.
There you go.
Well, when I read this chapter, the first thing that came to mind that we talked about this morning is that, unlike the other one, this is it's a little self-centered. The other one can be. The other chapter, the previous chapter, seemed a bit more noble to me. Mm-hmm. But contribution is literally the work we do should contribute something to our lives.
Yep.
So, and it went on to explain exactly what does that mean. I mean, what do you do with a job? Why do you have a job? Do you have it to pay off loans? Do you have it so you can go on nice holidays? You work Monday to Friday because Saturday and Sunday exist. I've heard that a lot throughout my life, and it kind of makes sense. You work
Thank
to
you
have
all
fun.
Those labor unions that helped ensure that could be the case.
Do you do it so you can actually some way be of service to others? Can you contribute to service to others? Can you
the bottom line of the business?
Can you donate?
If that matters to you.
Can you donate some of your salary to a non-profit or to a charity or a local charity? Or is it bits of all of them?
Oh, I think you're missing one. Does it also fulfill something in you? Like if you long to be a leader and you're the manager of a team, then you might find your consonance by showing up and taking care of your team, and that's fabulous. Okay, back to you.
So basically, the author split this up into 4 different things. 4 ways to bring contribution to your life. And this is a business textbook. But I think there are lessons that you can have for everyday life. And so we'll go through them. And I tried to make this sound as less the least businessy I could, if that even exists as a correct sentence in someone's head.
I will accept it.
Find your tribe.
I have a little challenge with the word tribe.
Yeah, because it's, you know why? I think as soon as I read that, I thought the thing that went through my head was all those bloody reality TV shows like Survivor. They're all in a tribe, and that drives me crazy.
And the thing that goes through my head is Native Americans. It feels a little bit like we are appropriating a word that is from groups of people that, quite frankly, Europeans have not been part of a tribe for millennia. So I don't love that word, but find your people.
Well, your thought was way deeper than mine.
It doesn't matter. Find your people is what makes me more comfortable.
Find people who have the same goals as you. Why? It's easier to take advice off someone who is that you trust people. You actually will listen to advice from someone who has the same general goal as you because it'll mean more to you. Plus the fact it probably will be correct advice.
Or more correct.
More correct. Pertinent. There you go.
Oh.
There we go.
Fancy.
Here's one that I admit I had to look this up because I read this twice and thought, what's the difference? So, focus on your avocation, not vocation. What's the difference? An avocation is a hobby taken up in addition to your work. Something that you have a passion or an interest in. The trick is to make that into your vocation, which is actually your principal occupation.
The thing you get the paycheck for.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I didn't actually know what that word meant, I'll be honest with you.
Okay, well, you've done that.
I know, which was embarrassing. Because I read it, I looked it up and thought, oh yeah, that's what I do.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm not
it's
there
kind
yet.
of like when I, what's that book you're supposed to read if you decide to become a teacher? Is it Bloom's Taxonomy or something?
Well, that's a book, yes.
Yeah, I read that book and thought, yeah, I do this. And I didn't really put any thought into it. I thought, yeah, well, how else wouldn't I? It got a bit silly. Here's one that everyone, I think, struggles with, and I do. Know your value. It is incredibly easy, not just in business, but in life, to sell yourself short. Everybody. Absolutely everybody probably sells themselves short in some way.
I will push on that a little bit because I actually think that the youngest generation, Gen Z and late millennials, have a different understanding of that than we did. So I think about, for instance, the day that the chair of the hiring committee called to offer me the job at the Arts Partnership. He offered me a salary and he'd barely finished the last consonant on the word before I said yes. It never dawned on me to negotiate.
To haggle.
Or to say, I think actually I bring this to the table. Now, to be fair, I brought almost nothing to the table. So that would have been a weird thing to do. But when our son got offered his job with a very nice salary package, the first thing he did was ramp that thing right up. Ramp it up. And guess what? They met him more than in the middle. And I think that we can all bemoan the fact that all Gen Z and millennial kids have grown up where everyone's a winner and you get a participation ribbon just for showing up and all of that. But the upside to that is that in a lot of ways, they have a pretty remarkable sense of self because they've been celebrated their whole lives. So I think they do come in and say, yeah, that's a perfectly fine starting point, but I'm going to need you to think about adding this, this, and this. And I find that an admirable quality, even if it's a little bit misguided as a 22-year-old.
It's even that you say that because the notes I made were that your value is actually the total of what you have done and achieved. All of your wisdom and charisma that you pick up on your journey is your value, not what you can write down as bullet points of, I have experience, I have a working knowledge of French or something.
Which we do not.
Yeah, I can drive a car.
Let me give you a perfect example that I think will resonate for everybody, whether you are in the arts or not. Here is the question that gets asked of visual artists most. How long did it take you to paint that, draw that, sculpt that, fill in the blank? How long did it take you to fill in the blank? And one of the reasons that people ask that is because if you can't do that skill, then it is astonishing. But the other reason is people kind of want to know, so if you're charging $500 for this painting, how long did it take you to paint that? Here's the answer. It might have taken 10 minutes to paint that, but it was 10 minutes plus 30 years of experience. When I go into a recording studio and I can bang out a commercial in one take, yes, you are spending a lot of money for one take, because you have might take me 2 minutes to do that take, and 35 years of me working on my voice.
That's a fantastic example.
So in actuality, you are getting me for a smoking deal. Write the check, be happy about it, say thank you, and move along. I mean, I get my value as a voice actor better than any other place in my career. And so I don't apologize for it, because I have spent literally my entire adult life working to be ready to walk into a recording studio and bang out what you need me to do. You have to pay for that, because I know my value.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next.
Practice gratitude. Being openly grateful allows you to allows you to increase your actions and your contribution to the values of others, and actually the values that you want to live by. Basically, it would focus on what works. Now, I've got some great examples about this. I have this fantastic. People say to me, "How come you got the physical plant to come and fix this? Or how come IT's over fixing your problem so far?" I said, because when I phone them up, I'm nice to them, and when they do something for me, I thank them, and I mean it.
Yep.
It matters.
I will never forget, I taught at Concordia College for 2 or 3 years when I was finishing up my master's. And the dean of the college came into an opening welcome session for new faculty. And I will never forget this. He happens to be the dad of a high school classmate of mine. But Dr. Ford said this: at Concordia, nobody is more important than anybody else. So if I find out that as faculty, you are mistreating the janitors and you are not thanking them for emptying your garbages and cleaning your chalkboards and whiteboards and vacuuming your carpets, if I find out that you're not doing that, it's going to be a real problem for your success at Concordia, because we are all valuable members.
That.
I've never forgotten it. Yeah. It was such a beautiful way to, again, if you go back to the example in Limitless, the janitor at NASA who said to President Kennedy, "I'm helping put a man on the moon." That's how that works. When everybody feels and understands that they are no more or less valuable, then their work suddenly has meaning to them and to everyone else.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. I mean, you can't get the projector to work, and you just think, well, I'm just going to phone IT, and they come over and go, what did you try? I said, nothing. It didn't work. And they just look at me and went, thank God, we can fix this.
You didn't make it worse.
No, and then I actually talked to someone about another person from IT. I said, how come this guy calls me Maz and he calls everyone else by their last name? And the other person just looked at me and said, yeah, they like you.
Yeah, there's a lot of value to being conscious of that.
Being grateful. So to sum all this up, there are a couple of questions that got asked at the end of this chapter. Does your job give you the life you want? Or does your attitude to doing things give you the idea of what you want to be, the idea that people have about you? Is it what they want, what you want them to have of you? That's a contribution right there. Do your values at work equal your values at life? In other words, do you want, does it make, do you treat people the way you say people should be treated?
Well, and does your work actually, so for me, I have said many, many times how grateful I am. In North Dakota, one way that nonprofits are funded, some nonprofits, is through gambling. And I have said that for me, I'm really grateful to not run an organization for whom some of our profits come from gambling. Not that all gambling is inherently evil, but gambling is an addiction. Maz talks about it as being one of the big three. I don't want to make profit off of someone else's addiction. That's problematic for me, and it really speaks against values that I hold as a human being, which supersede any value that I hold as the president and CEO of the Arts Partnership. But that would be difficult to turn that money down if it were already in place and coming in. So I'm really grateful that it wasn't in place when I started, and now it never will be. Those values are important. It goes back to, what is your integrity? What do you stand for? Because if you don't stand for anything, you'll fall for everything. I really love that phrase.
There was one last thing that really got me with this chapter is another phrase I'd never heard of. It's called boil the ocean. Have you heard of that?
Yes, I heard of the
I
whole
looked
concept.
it up. So it's the basic idea is taking on an overly large task with given the reality of the resources you have at the current time. It's actually a negative connotation on someone's approach to try to solve a problem. I never heard of it, but it actually does make sense. Mm-hmm. It basically goes back to, don't bite off more than you can chew.
Well, and it's the opposite of last week's example about sending teddy bears to Sandy Hook instead of trying to create logical, sensible gun control. This is, if as a country we said, absolutely, we're getting rid of every single gun. We're getting rid of all of them. Well, that's boiling the ocean. We don't need to get rid of every single gun to solve gun problems. We need to be logical about it, and we can never accomplish that. It's an impossibility when you think of the billions of guns that live in America. It's an impossibility. So rather than set a goal we could never hope to achieve, you need to set something that is aspirational but achievable so that you can actually accomplish it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good.
That's a good, it's a good lesson in life. Never bite off more than you can chew. You'll never be happy.
Yep. So we're going to continue with the last C next Monday, and then I guess we'll do kind of a wrap up the Monday after that. But beyond that, we'll be back tomorrow for a typical Tuesday, whatever that is. Have a good day.
See you tomorrow.
Bye-bye.